Доброго ранку, колеги. Розпочинаємо наш робочий день.
Good morning, dear colleagues. We start our working day, as usual, from the joint briefing of Viktoria Kushnir, spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Via Skype, we'll have Leonid Matyukhin, who is a spokesman for the anti-terrorist operation, and Alexei Mazepa will be with us. Good morning, dear all. The President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, has signed the decree that enacts the decision of the Council for National Security and Defense of the 20th of December about the resource provision of the defense and security sector of Ukraine in 2015, and this decree provides for the allocation of over 80 billion hryvnia for security and defense on Ukraine next year. Besides, the cabinet will have the right to guarantee up to 6 billion hryvnia in order to purchase armaments, machinery, material and technical means. And the respective clauses will be in the state budget of Ukraine. The Council for National Defense and Security instructed the Cabinet of Ministers to see in that the state budget for 2015 provides finance for the needs of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. According to the decision of the Council of National Defense and Security, the Ministry of Defense will urgently create the Interdepartmental Commission on Standardization and the Unification of Armaments and Machinery. Also, the President of Ukraine took part in summing up the military and economic training concentration 2014 at the Ministry of Defense in Ukraine. According to the President, the training has revealed a set of problems in coordination and interaction between the bodies of state power that have to be rectified very soon. And the President instructed to reinforce the guarding of strategical objects. The military of the Ukraine continue to provide help in restoration of ruined and damaged objects in Luhansk and Donetsk region. The sites that were in the direct contact with the pro-Russian military and terrorist groupings, the work of repair brigade teams is complicated. There's a lot of landmines there, and during their works, the repairmen and Ukrainian military who protect them get fired at. In the Baltsovo of Donetsk region, the military joined forces with local bodies of power to restore peaceful life. And they pay special attention to put into order the work of socially important institutions. Recently, 2 out of 7 kindergartens have renewed their work in the Baltsovo. And people start to gradually bring their kids to kindergartens. The citizens of Ukraine continue to pass on charity help to Ukrainian military who are engaged in anti-terrorist operation. In the Donetsk region, the forces of the Group of Coordination of Civil and Military Cooperation have provided for the delivery of a humanitarian cargo to the region, which was composed of warm clothes and foodstuffs. Besides, they got children's drawings and talismans from first graders of one of the schools of Kiev. Pupils of one of the schools of Dnipropetrovsk regularly help the tankmen of the 93rd Mechanized Brigade. The Karpatsky Mineralny Vody Limited company have given us contemporary portable mini laboratory Chrome 3003 to the main medical clinical hospital. At the moment, in the zone of anti-terrorist operation, first aid and evacuation to wounded military is being provided for by the medical services of military units. And sanitary companies reinforced with 31 mobile doctor and sister brigades and other specialists, and their total amount is over 1,200 military medics. Every such mobile team includes 2 sergeants, an anesthesiologist, 2 medical sisters, and 2 drivers, sanitors. If there's a need, then evacuation of the wounded is being done with the help of Mi-8 helicopters and An-24 Vita plane. Since the start of anti-terrorist operation, the specialized planes have evacuated 1994 military of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and 2,168 military were evacuated by the helicopters. The journalists of leading world channels and information agencies, accompanied by press officers of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, visited the zone of the anti-terrorist operation. They visited one of the strongholds of armed forces in the vicinity of Debaltseve, and they talked to fighters and local residents. So these are the brief results of the work of the Ministry of Defense over the last 24 hours. Thank you. Leonid Matyukhin is the spokesman for the anti-terrorist operation, and we're talking to him via Skype. Do you get us? Yes. If you hear me well, then we hear you well. So what is the information from the anti-terrorist operation zone? The situation in the zone of ATO remains complicated. Last night, the gunmen continued their armed provocations. 16 times they have fired or shelled the positions of the Ukrainian military from small firearms, grenade launchers, mortars, and artillery, as well as from armed machinery. They fired from small firearms and grenade launchers at Stanitsa Luhanska, Chernuhina, Kushnir, and Sokolniki. And they shelled from mortars Marinka, Slavne, Shumy, Mayors, Chernuhina, and Pisky 3 times. Also, started from 5 p.m., the eight facts of air reconnaissance were detected, and this was the drones were used to the east of Mariupol, next to Chermalik, Mykolaiivka, Novoselivka. And I'd like to say that I saw a picture how I saw a lot of times that when our military received humanitarian help, they distributed it among the local residents. And yesterday you said that the tankmen are taking care of a school and 2 kindergartens. Oh yes, they take care of a lot of kids because and they are pleased to do this because kids are the future of our country, and maybe it's not official, but I know of cases when we take a specific kid, and I know, for instance, about the fact that when one military serviceman wanted to adopt a child from an orphanage, I know that he and his wife talked about this with the orphanage's management. However, I don't know how this finished. Alexei Mazepa, a spokesman for the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Okay, we're live on air.
Почнемо, колеги.
Good morning, dear colleagues. As of the 26th of December, the social and political situation on the territory of Donetsk and Luhansk region remains tense. Especially this concerns settlements that border on the first line of the defense of our units and are subjected to non-systematic shelling from the gunmen. And there's also a high level of threat of terrorist acts on railway stations and auto routes. At the moment, there are clashes between gunmen in Anthracite and Krasny Luch. We see the effects of armed fight for power between the militants of the so-called Don Cossack troops and terrorists of the so-called Luhansk People's Republic. And the Russian troops that stay in these towns do not interfere in the clashes. And on the territory of Saint Ivar's Monastery of Pisky in Donetsk region, there are firing positions of terrorists in the buildings and the belfry of this monastery. The pro-Russian gunmen continue to terrorize people that have to live on the temporarily occupied territories, and the population is limited in their movements. In some cases, they are even forbidden from going to settlements that are controlled by the Ukrainian government. As far as the Minsk agreements are concerned, the position of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine remains unchanged. When we understand and will be convinced that there is no fire from the other side for no less than 48 hours, then we will be able to start to fulfill the events of the second stage, including the withdrawal of heavy arms from the delineation zone. However, this does not mean that military units will be withdrawn from the positions and rogue checkpoints. And our next briefing is at 11 o'clock. Thank you, everybody.